All right, we're going to get started here this afternoon. We'll call the St. Paul City Council to order. Roll call.
Tolbert.
Here.
Yang. Here. Jalali.
Here.
Naker.
Here.
Prince.
Here.
Tao.
Here.
Council President Brenmon.
Here.
7 present, no one absent.
Please stand if you're able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, folks, to the council chambers. I just wanted to share that we're back from COVID. I guess it's been 5 months now. Some of us are wearing masks. It's not required in this building. I have a bit of a cold, not a COVID, but a cold, and so I'm choosing to wear mine out of respect and courtesy to the folks who are in here. But just remember to wash your hands, keep a distance, and we'll keep this thing from spreading. We have several items that we will be covering today. When you come up to the microphones, you don't really need to adjust them. Just put yourself in between the two microphones and speak, and our media services will adjust the mics accordingly. It's tempting to start moving them all over the place, but not necessary. And so with that, we've got some very special guests here, and we will get this meeting rolling.
Consent agenda items 4 through 27 are before you for your consideration.
Anything on the consent agenda that we should take separately today? All right, seeing none, Ms. Yang moves approval. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The consent agenda is adopted. Item 28, Resolution 22-680, recognizing Beverly Farrer's Award from the National APWA as a Top 10 Public Works Leader of the Year.
It's pretty exciting. Welcome, Director Kershaw. It's wonderful to have you here.
Council President and council members, thank you for creating the space for us to do this today. I'm going to be very brief, and I'm going to get out of the way. We're here to introduce a really important partner in public works work, and that is the American Public Works Association. From the APWA, you'll hear from Nick Egger, who's the chapter president and Rosemont Public Works Director, Mark Hansen, who's the Minnesota Chapter Awards Committee Chair and Coon Rapids City Engineer, and Scott Grayson, who's the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the National American Public Works Association. Most importantly, we're here to lift up and celebrate an incredible public works leader, and that's Bev Farrer. So I'm going to bring the folks from the APWA up.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for having us here. Again, as Director Kershaw introduced us, my name is Nick Egger, and I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Rosemont, and I'm the current chapter president for APWA Minnesota chapter. Also joining us in the audience are several of our officers for the chapter and some other chapter members, so it's great to see their support here as well. At 1,000 members plus from all across Minnesota, our organization represents numerous public agencies, private consulting firms, and industry vendors on important issues in the public works realm. So just a little bit of an intro on that for you. We're ecstatic whenever one of our own gets recognition, let alone national level recognition. And this is a great moment for us to be part of celebrating Bev's achievement today with all of you. So here at the podium with me is Mark Hansen, City Engineer for Coon Rapids, and Scott Grayson with APWA National. And I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mark for a little walkthrough of the awards application process.
Thank you, Nick. Madam Council President and council members, the awards committee is made up of a dozen volunteer professionals within public works from across our organization. And each year we gather in January to develop our chapter's nomination list for those national APWA awards. One of our most important tasks is to nominate a chapter member for the Top 10 Public Works Leaders of the Year award. This is the first nomination that we discuss each year. And when it came to select an individual for this nomination, we couldn't think of anyone better than Bev Farrer. Bev was reluctant at first to accept her nomination, and she graciously turned us down, indicating that she thought other members were more qualified and fearing that an award of this nature wouldn't recognize all the individuals that helped her along the way. To the committee, the awards committee, this was just another reason why Bev was the right choice for this nomination. And as she does not prefer the spotlight, she prefers to give others the credit. We are so glad that she eventually agreed to the nomination, and we congratulate Bev on this award and hope that it provides some recognition of her and her staff's tireless efforts, as well as the City of St. Paul's entire Public Works Department as they collectively work to keep operations of the city functioning as normal. Next, we will have Scott Grayson, our APWA National CEO, present the award to Bev Farraher.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us here today. I had served in office on the Golden Valley City Council years ago, and I fell in love with public works, and that's how I ended up in my role. I have a real passion for public works, and it's afternoons like this that make it all worthwhile. This year and every year, we hold National Public Works Week, the third week of May. And as part of that, we have a new theme. And this year, we have a theme, Ready and Resilient. And our poster shows Public Works personnel in the foreground. And behind it are shadows of them in the images of superheroes. And Bev is absolutely one of our superheroes. And we're here to honor her today. I just looked at some of the stats. She's responsible for nearly 2,000 miles of streets, 800 miles of sanitary sewer lines, 450 miles of stormwater, 107 bridges, and 32,000 traffic lights. And when everything's running properly with Public Works, you don't even know what's happening. So we want to honor Bev here today. Oh, there you are. Good. with this really cool award.
Oh.
And thank you for all of your work.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. It is a real honor to be here. Thank you, Scott, National APWA, Minnesota Chapter APWA, for this award. I'm truly honored to receive it. I will work every day to live up to this honor. I recognize that I am joining the ranks of an amazing group of top 10 award recipients. Oh, why do I cry? This is so stupid. Okay. Thank you, Council President Brenmo, and I can focus on that, and council members for this opportunity to have this event, for this award presentation. Your support is so very appreciated, now and always. Thank you to Nick and Mark and the APWA chapter members who proposed and supported my award nomination effort. Many APWA friends are here today, which brings me joy, which is why I'm crying. Thank you for all in your faith in my nomination. Thank you to my wonderful family and friends who are here today, and my coworkers who are celebrating this honor with us, and to recognize the importance of public works and all the people who keep things maintained and operating as well as possible. Because I consider this to be an award for all maintenance and operations folks. I am going to stop, I promise. Next week, May 15 through 21, is National Public Works Week with the theme Ready and Resilient. And APWA members and agencies across the country will take time, such as we are doing here today, to recognize the importance of public works in our lives. I appreciate very much the city's support for my participation in APWA nationally and locally. I believe my participation in APWA benefits the city in a variety of ways through applied educational opportunities, both technical and leadership, opportunities to share and learn best practices with other agencies, valuable networking and with professionals I might never have otherwise met, an ability to gain knowledge, perspective, and context for critical public works issues, and an ability to leave a legacy within the profession. I'm so very honored to receive this award, and I steadfastly remain astounded that I have received this honor. I hope you all join me in finding this a great time to recognize and for me to thank the hundreds of people I have worked with now and over the years who have worked so very hard to deliver all the maintenance and operations, products and services that our customers, individuals and businesses depend on and enjoy. We all work in the public's interest and strive to improve the quality of life in our communities and for our customers. In my own career in MnDOT before I came here working on highways, and now at this wonderful city working on urban infrastructure, I have served similar, yet slightly different groups of customers. Similar goals have always existed, though, to improve products and services through technical competence, research, process improvements, technology, and innovation, to be effective and efficient with public monies, to be ethical in all matters, to lead and develop people, to create productive, safe, and respectful workplaces, and to respect and protect our natural environments. All of us in Public Works take pride in pursuing these goals. This is my last page, I promise. Like anyone who continuously strives to fulfill their potential, I have accomplished much individually and in concert with others. I've also had to overcome struggles both personally and professionally. I thank my family, friends, and mentors for the steadfast support and deep wisdom that they have given me. It's not been easy to be a woman engineer in a predominantly male world of public works, particularly maintenance and operations. Thank you. Many amazing women created pathways in public works and engineering for me and others. I value their efforts and accomplishments greatly. It would be, however, accurate for me to say that I have felt like a lone goose among a flock of ducks for most of my career. I do appreciate that being 6 foot 1.5 inches tall, with the bone structure of a brontosaurus, being relatively adept at learning field skills and asking lots of questions to learn anything and everything, as well as working really hard to really listen to people, that's helped me create my own unique personality within most work groups. I am hard to put into a stereotyping box, and that has been good. Still, while I've enjoyed myself thoroughly and have no regrets, it has been, at times, a lonely career path that has taught me strength and given me a steadfast goal to not have others experience feeling that they are the other or outsider in their workplace. I so very much appreciate that both APWA and the City of St. Paul share that same goal, that all can be a productive part of an inclusive and respectful workplace. Thank you again for this honor. It is so very appreciated. All of us involved in the delivery of public works operations and maintenance are uplifted by this recognition and support. Thank you.
Bev, I almost just want to leave it at that. It was so beautifully, beautifully stated. And please don't ever apologize for taking up the space and time to celebrate the work and leadership and pioneering you've done. I think just having this time has been so meaningful for all of us as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I want to highlight a few things in the resolution for people who don't know your path here, who don't know kind of the scope of work and some of the things you do on the extra. And so if you don't mind indulging me, I'd just like to share a few other things. And first of all, I have to say that when Scott Grayson mentioned starting Public Works and falling in love with the work, and we get you. We're like, oh, good, we get him. And we hope that you all noticed one of our brand new murals, which not only features Public Works as an important part of our city, but also a woman in that leadership and power role. So that has also been something in the past year that we've added to our chamber, and it seems very appropriate today. So for folks who don't know, Bev Farrer began her career at MnDOT in 1988. And she held positions including the district traffic engineer, district maintenance engineer, street bridge construction and maintenance engineer, and acting state bridge engineer. And then took a real leap of faith to join the city of St. Paul, from that role under the leadership of Kathy Lantry. And Kathy Lantry told me that this is such a big deal that she wouldn't have missed this for anything in the world except her knee surgery yesterday. And she simply cannot be here. But it was very, very important. And she said to me, this is like the Oscars. This is like the Oscars for this profession. So it's a very big deal. And I know that having her bring you on in this role was a big deal for our city, and we were so fortunate to have you. And I know that continuing your work under partnership with Director Kershaw has probably continued that sort of positive, powerful leadership. But she joined the city of St. Paul as our Public Works Operations Manager, overseeing an annual budget of $120 million and 270 employees. And Scott also mentioned some of the data, just the 806 miles of sanitary sewer and the metered parking spaces, the signs, the street lights, the signals. I mean, so much of the stuff that when it's working, we don't notice it. I think that's really, really important to mention. I was asked today by reporters interested in this story, what are some of the things that you've done? And I think that unfortunately the stuff that comes to mind is when there's a crisis and when we have the Wabasha stone cave
landslide.
Why that word is not in my mind, I don't know. But throughout civil unrest and through COVID, you have been the person at the helm and maintaining and driving the driving force behind our public works. But in addition to your active role on the Minnesota chapter of the American Public Works Association, we all know Bev to be a champion of equity and inclusion, and you mentioned that so beautifully at the end, and it was really poignant and meaningful for me to hear. She also regularly volunteers in the community and goes above and beyond to help the city of St. Paul serve the greater community. We've all heard about the blood drive she organizes at Public Works. I'm looking at everybody. Have we been? And also launching and managing the free community cupboard located at the Dale campus. And it's a neighborhood that Mr. Tao and I represent, and we hear people saying what a wonderful contribution that is to the community, albeit small. It's huge, and it matters a lot, and it shows that the city cares about people in need. So thank you for that. You also model, I loved this, and your colleagues wrote that you model polite tenacity. And I'm like, that is so badass. Polite tenacity is sort of like, Mom, listening. We're going to get this done. But I do believe that our work is so much about listening carefully and respecting each other. We all come from a different perspective, but if we listen and we work to oriented towards solutions and not for our own grandeur, we come up with the best outcomes. So that is modeled and noted by your colleagues. In addition to that, polite tenacity and her leadership here at the city, Bev also teaches at the University of Minnesota. And we know that is where she is mentoring and developing and really providing a role model, especially for women, and helping them grow as professionals, to model ethical leadership, and to achieve their goals. And so not only are you doing this work here, but you're building the next generation, and we see that and admire that as well. So thank you. Thank you for allowing us to provide this space to celebrate this. It's a big deal, and we're proud of you. We're thanking you and eternally grateful for your service to the city. and join you in celebrating this award. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michelle?
Council President Bren Moen, thank you so much for all those wonderfully kind comments. But I don't accomplish things. I accomplish things with the people I work with. So if you could indulge me, could I have everybody who's St. Paul Public Works raise their hand? And they should get the shout out? Come on, raise your hands. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. And then maybe even everybody who's any kind of public works in this room should raise their hand so they can get a shout out. Come on. There we go. They accomplish things. I help them accomplish things. That's all. Thank you.
We thank you for that. Mr. Kershaw, any closing comments before we vote on this? We'll see if we pass this resolution.
I couldn't say anything better than been said already. Thank you for this time and this moment.
All right, thank you. I will take a motion from Ms. Naker. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And do we want... Bev told me that she already told all of her family members and friends that you don't have to stay until the end of the meeting. But you can. You don't have to. Thank you.
Item 29, Resolution 22-687, authorizing the city to transfer $4,477,000 of American Rescue Plan funds to specific accounts for recipients of the Tourism Recovery Support Program grants.
All right, and I believe Director Goodman's here with just a brief update on this item before we pass the resolution. Welcome.
Thank you. This will be a hard act to follow. I have nothing that will make you have tears. Good afternoon, Council President Bren Moen and council members. As you know, tourism is a fundamental driver of our local economy and has been one of the industries most profoundly impacted by COVID-19. I appeared before this body in late February to request an allocation of American Rescue Plan Act funds for a tourism recovery program, which was approved. Eligible applicants for this program were organizations and businesses who were able to demonstrate that their normal pre-pandemic operations had a significant impact on tourism in St. Paul. We had 7 applications, all from eligible organizations. We analyzed those applications and made the funding recommendations before you today based on the impact of the organization on tourism, the impact of COVID on the organization, eligibility for an award of previous COVID-related financial assistance, such as federal grants and other programs, and the financial need for assistance. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Ms. Naker has a question.
Thanks, Council President. I actually don't have a question. I just want to thank you so much, Director Goodman, for your extremely quick and expert work on this. I'm very, very pleased that we were able to get these dollars out the door. I think this is the quintessential use of American Rescue Plan dollars to help these embattled tourist catalysts in our community. And I'm really glad that all 7 organizations that applied are receiving funding to some extent. So thanks to you and your team for the very quick and excellent work.
Absolutely.
Ms. Prince and then Mr. Tolbert.
And I want to echo Councilmember Naker's comments. As a member of the Visit St. Paul Board, this is really an important time when we see ourselves coming out of the last couple of difficult years of the pandemic. And as if to kind of set us all off on the right course, having the Wild in the playoffs is really a great thing. And these organizations will be able to take advantage of this continuing success and as we build back to normal. Yep. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tolbert and then Ms. Jalal.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to thank PED for turning this around so quickly from the time that we allocated the money, or at least said that we'd allocate, this is allocating the money, I suppose, but just PED turning this around so quickly and getting this relief dollars out. all very important businesses and nonprofits in our city, and I'm glad that we can help them a little bit because they're a vital part to our vibrancy. So thank you, Director Goodman, for all your work on this.
Ms. Jalali.
Thank you. I am also supportive of this item today, and I wanted to appreciate all the work and thought that's gone into it. And Director Goodman, I appreciated our conversation where I got to ask my questions, and it seems like we're able to honor pretty much every request that we got, and there's certainly no shortage of need. Some items in here that I'm glad for are really important, defining St. Paul specific locations like the Kegan case and other types of destination places that make our community unique and that actually create a home in a collective way for really unique makers, vendors, people in the food and beverage industry. I am also really glad that this will be another tool that partners like Visit St. Paul can use to actually highlight the uniqueness of our community, and especially in light of the conversation around ethnic festivals and community events that are unable to proceed, and the fact that that is such a part of our community identity, knowing that we'll be able to partner with organizations to highlight those same community groups in other ways that help spur the economic development of them along and continue to maintain our city identity is very important. And so just wanted to call out, like, this is one of those items where you don't always see like the racial equity thread on face in it, but I personally think about it that way, and I'm trying to care about all of our ARP expenses that way. So I wanted to just add that in. I know folks in general are supportive. I just wanted to add in my reasons why, and thank you for your work again.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Great. And I do appreciate the thoughtful process from the initiation of folks coming, connecting with the PED, with the council member's office and administration, saying, we've slipped through the cracks and we need help to this outcome. It's great. So I will support it as well. If there's no other discussion, Mr. Tolbert moves approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item 30 is APC 22-1, considering the appeal of Dayton's Bluff District Council to decision of the Planning Commission approving a reestablishment of nonconforming use for Elite Auto Sales LLC at 847 Hudson Road. And the public hearing was closed on April 20th.
Ms. Prince.
Yes, I have a statement to read, and let me begin with that. It's quite lengthy, but I think this is required. In terms of the background of 847 Old Hudson Road, the site has been vacant since 1999 and has been on DSI's vacant building list since at least 2001. The Planning Commission approved a reestablishment of nonconforming use permit for auto repair in 2014. This use was never established, and the permit expired in 2016. There was a request to extend the expiration of the 2014 permit. This request was denied based on nonconformance with the Gold Line Station area plan. In 2017, the Planning Commission approved another reestablishment of nonconforming use permit for auto sales, but that use also was not established, and this permit expired in 2019. For approximately 20 years, no use, conforming or non-conforming, has taken place on this property. The Planning Commission background on this: in order to grant a permit for the reestablishment of a non-conforming use, it has to be determined that each of the 5 required findings have been met. The Planning Commission found that at least 4 of the findings had been met. They excluded finding number 5, which had been suspended due to the pandemic. The Planning Commission's decision to approve the permit for reestablishment of a nonconforming use was contrary to the recommendation of staff, which had been to deny the application based on finding number 4, which requires the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Staff had recommended denial based on finding number 4 as follows. This finding is not met. The District 4 planning summary calls for the reuse rather than demolition of existing commercial buildings, as well as fostering neighborhood-scale commercial, and that's strategy C8.2. However, the Gold Line Station Area Plans 2015 called for a pedestrian orientation to any new development or redevelopment. Auto sales uses are by nature not pedestrian-oriented uses, as evidenced by the fact that they are not permitted by right or conditionally in any traditional neighborhood zoning districts. Both plans are adopted as addenda to the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission did not adopt the staff recommendation. Instead, the Planning Commission found that finding number 4 was met based upon a distinction, apparently, that an application to permit the reestablishment of a non-conforming use is somehow different from a development or redevelopment as follows. The Planning Commission stated, the Gold Line Station Area Plan calls for a pedestrian orientation in any new development/redevelopment. However, this is a reestablishment of a non-conforming use, not a development or a redevelopment. Both plans, the Gold Line Station Area Plan and the District 4 Plan, are adopted as addenda to the comprehensive plan. I find this distinction to be without any real difference, especially where, as here, there has been no use of this property for over 20 years. Under these circumstances, any use proposed for a property that has not seen a use in 2 decades, notwithstanding whether its use was conforming or non-conforming, can reasonably said to constitute either development or a redevelopment of the site. In the Planning Commission errors, as noted in the staff report, the Gold Line Station Area Plan calls for pedestrian orientation in any new development, redevelopment, and zoning staff correctly observed that auto sales uses are by nature not pedestrian-oriented uses. For this reason, I find that the Planning Commission erred when it found that finding number 4 was met, based on a distinction that an application to permit the reestablishment of a non-conforming use is somehow different from any other zoning application for development or redevelopment on the site. I would also find that the Planning Commission erred when it found that finding number 3, which requires finding that the proposed use will not be detrimental to the existing character of the development in the immediate neighborhood or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare, can be met provided at least one curb cut is removed, which would improve the safety of individuals walking adjacent to the site, especially if it is one of the curb cuts along Hudson Road. Such curb cut removal should be the condition of any approval so long as it abides by historic preservation regulations. Also, auto sales are usually limited by the zoning code to B3 general business and I2 industrial districts with a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet. This site is, in order to prevent neighborhood detriment on this small 4,835-foot triangular lot in a residential setting, the number of vehicles for sale should be limited and storage of vehicles on the street should be prohibited. This finding is erroneous for 2 reasons. First, there is no guarantee that any curb cuts will be removed, especially one of the curb cuts along Hudson Road, because the site must abide by historic preservation regulations. Second, this 4,835 square foot site does not come anywhere close to meeting the 15,000 square foot minimum lot size required for auto sales in zoning districts in which the use is first permitted. Approving what essentially amounts to a substantial area variance via an application to reestablish a non-conforming use on a site that has no use whatsoever in the previous 20 years underscores that the proposed use by definition is a use that is detrimental to the existing residential character of development in the immediate neighborhood and can endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. For these reasons, I ask that you grant the appeal based upon errors in the Planning Commission's findings, number 3 and 4, and deny the application for a permit to reestablish a non-conforming use to allow an auto sales business at 847 Hudson Road.
All right. Are there comments? There's a motion to deny or to, for the appeal, in favor of the appeal of the Dayton's Web. Mr. Tolbert.
Thank you very much. I heard what Councilmember Prince said, and I have to respectfully disagree with her motion. I just can't get behind that, and actually, for many of the reasons that she listed, I think is reasons to grant this, and I don't think the Planning Commission did here, so I'll be voting no on this. But just a few of the things, I think particularly because the building has been vacant since my sophomore year of high school, it is a good reason to try and, somebody's there that wants to invest in it and start a business, a young entrepreneur, give that person a chance. But most importantly, the thing that stuck in my head in the last 2 weeks since the public hearing is we granted a very similar, or the Planning Commission granted very similar approvals in 2015 and 2017 as being asked for here today. And quite frankly, there's a very significant conditions on this approval as well, from where people can park to other things. And, you know, an entrepreneur that wants to take a chance and invest in a building that's been vacant for 20 plus years, I think we should give that person a chance. And I don't think, as the district or the appeal said, just because previous people had failed at the similar thing, that to me is not a reason to deny a person the opportunity to try and start a business in this vacant building. So, especially one that's on the historic site, which further limits their ability for someone else to do something with it or what you can do with it. So, I understand Councilmember Prince's motion, but I'm going to be voting no on this one.
All right. Is there any other discussion on the motion from Ms. Prince? We have some. Ms. Jalali.
Thank you. I'm still struggling this one down to the last minute. I think I'm struck by a few things that this case illuminates, which is one, that it does feel like there's a tension in the plans for the area sometimes being somewhat in conflict with one another or just not clear enough, and that being challenging because of the location of this site along a future planned transit line, the neighborhood council plan that attaches to that, the comprehensive plan that attaches to that. The place that I was leaning coming into this is that I'm very, very empathetic to the issues raised by having auto-oriented development at a future transit line. I am empathetic to the reality of a business owner wanting to advance this plan and having multiple years of effort to do that after a lot of non-use. And I'm empathetic to neighbors who it seems like the Planning Commission agreed with when it said there should be conditions on how the business operates, given that it is auto-oriented, and while there could be other potential uses, this is the use that's being approved for reuse. So I guess I'm still weighing down to the minute the error argument, because it seems to me like what you're saying, Councilmember Prince, is that your legal argument is really hinging on that, you know, the Planning Commission found that reuse is not redevelopment or development under the rules we're supposed to consider this, and you're arguing that it essentially is because it hasn't been used in a long time. I think that is where our judgment comes in as council members, to be subjective. I am still trying to understand how that would work, and you know, it was my understanding in terms of the facts, and maybe this is where I'll just get to a clarifying question if that is still allowed at this phase. I thought that the plan was we're going to just basically take this existing auto shop oriented site and use it as an auto shop. It was not my understanding that there would be big capital improvements or other major changes of that nature. And if staff could clarify that, that would help me in making this determination about, I mean, to me it hinges on that legal point of redevelopment versus reuse. So could someone speak a little bit more to the details on that front? That would help a lot.
Welcome.
Council President, Councilmember Jalali, the applicant's intent is to reuse the building with minimal investment, just to get it open as quickly as possible. They intend to keep the building in place and just make the changes that are required to get it open.
Thank you for explaining that. I guess in that case, I would tend to agree with Councilmember Tolbert that It does not seem to me like this is a development or redevelopment. I recognize the history at the site, but this is a case where what I want from a land use standpoint, which is a pedestrian-oriented use at that site, actually doesn't conform to the rules that we're supposed to make this decision based on. And I just want to clarify that because these type of situations can feel weird to me from like a values and what I want in the world standpoint. So I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that has gone in. I want to support everyone in this situation no matter how this vote goes. So I just want to name my commitment to the neighborhood in that. Thank you.
Thanks. And I will just add that this has been a struggle for me as well. I feel like this is a case that's right on the line, and I've heard a case made, honestly, for both sides. I'm going to be in support of the appeal today with Councilmember Prince because I feel like in just making a decision here, we open the door for Ward 7 office to work with the entrepreneur, use some city resources, use some city energy and thinking to try to find a use that works for both the entrepreneur and the neighborhood in a way that makes sense. But I will say at the same time that I do struggle with this, and I do feel like it's really kind of right on the line, and I understand why this group is struggling with this issue. They're not always easy, it's not always straightforward, but that's my thinking today. Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. I really appreciate the conversation we're having, and I hope that the parties who are here listening see this and know that we're really struggling with this, and this is not an easy decision, and we're being thoughtful about it. And I think that's really important. I'm going to be supporting the motion as well. I think that Councilmember Prince's reasoning holds for me. It seems to me that redevelopment development is a way of saying when there isn't a use right now and you have the opportunity to decide whether or not a use should start, you should not have this particular kind of use near a transit line. And I think the fact that they didn't use every possible word to mean starting a new use does not mean that those are the only two types of things that were being meant. So that's my judgment on this. I also just want to say I completely agree with Councilmember Tolbert, and I hope that the entrepreneur knows that this is absolutely not an indictment of her or her plans. I am so grateful that she is interested in investing in St. Paul, and these decisions are not personal. They're about zoning and laws that we have to follow based on how we planned our city. And so I just want to thank you for being willing to invest and also applaud and thank Council President Brunmoen and Councilmember Prince's willingness to hopefully work with this business person to try to get a use here that will work.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor and no further discussion. So let us do a roll call.
Tolbert,
No.
Yang,
I'm sorry.
Aye. Jalali,
No.
Naker,
Aye.
Prince,
Aye.
Tao,
Aye.
Council President Brenmoen.
Aye.
5 in favor, 2 opposed, being Council Members Tolbert and Jalali. The motion of intent is the appeal is denied.
The appeal is granted.
The appeal is granted.
Granted? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I
It
heard
was
you say
granted.
denied.
Thank you. That's Sherry's one mistake per year.
I
Yeah.
misheard you. Item 31 is final adoption of ordinance 22-18, amending section 160.04 of the legislative code to add Juneteenth to parking meter holidays.
All right, this is final adoption. Any final discussion on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Tao moves approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The ordinance is adopted. Item 32 is an emergency ordinance for ordinance 22-19. Pursuant to City Charter 6.06, an emergency ordinance for the specific purpose of curing any potential procedure issues with the original enactment of emergency ordinance number 20-36 on November 18th, 2020, to facilitate the establishment of a day-use service facility to provide services to the city's unsheltered population during the COVID-19 pandemic emergency at the site of former Firehouse Station 51 at 296 West 7th Street, commonly known as Freedom House.
Right now, on this side, this is a public hearing. Council members have had a briefing on this item, but it is a public hearing, so I'm going to hold open the public hearing. Just wondering if we want to get a staff summary. Is there someone from the city attorney's office who can enlighten us. I am not the city attorney, so I would not like to brief us on this, even though sometimes the council steps in and does council reports. Can I put you on the spot as a quick summary, or would we like to? We can move to the public hearing first and get a staff report at the end, which is seemingly what we've been doing lately.
I can do a council report, but it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I will, okay, I'm going to do it. So we do not have a representative from the city attorney's office here to brief us. So in absence of that, I will say this is a procedural action by the council. We are sent out a notice to neighbors around the 7th Freedom House as required under our city charter. This we are doing in late, but we are doing it to cure a problem with our procedure. It does not change the fact that Freedom House will no longer do business in this location after May 8th, 2022. And the term of the agreement still concludes on May 31st, 2022. This is procedural. It's strictly procedural, and we're basically dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Signed, not the city attorney.
You did it very well.
Okay, and I've gotten sign off from the city attorney. I did okay. Okay, so this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who needs to speak to this item? Come on up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council President Brenmoen and council members. My name is Kyle Kroll, and I'm an attorney at the law firm of Winthrop and Weinstein. And I'm here as a representative of my clients, which are residents and businesses in the West 7th Street neighborhood. And those include West 7th Street Partners, LLC, Art Farm Advertising, Incorporated, 262 Fort Road, LLC, TD Wright, Incorporated, Susan Adair, WW2 Incorporated, and Portfolio, LLC.
Sir, I just want to tell you that your timer is running and you're spending a lot of time on introductions. We know who you are, and just want to speak to the item in front of us because it's a public hearing and we have a short 2-minute time period on testimony.
Absolutely. Our clients respectfully urge the City Council not to readopt Emergency Ordinance 2036 for the reasons stated in my colleague Amy Dayhoff's April 28 letter, which is linked in the agenda for today's meeting. And as that letter explains, readopting this ordinance is unlawful for at least 3 reasons. First, the city has not followed the necessary procedures. The city did not mail notice to each and every owner of property within 350 feet of the Freedom House property. As the Ramsey County District Court held, and as Minnesota law clearly states, that mailed notice is mandatory. The city also has not read its readoption of this ordinance through this new ordinance at 2 meetings prior to this one. And it did not do so on the prior Emergency Ordinance 2036 either. Let alone the city has not even kept the final readoption language on file for public inspection for at least 1 week at the clerk's office. This city's charter, the procedures, indeed the very agenda that is provided to the public today say that is a requirement, but it has not been followed. Second, to readopt this emergency ordinance, there must be a sudden or unforeseen situation affecting the city. There just isn't, and it's my client's position there never was. But perhaps most importantly, readopting this would serve no purpose because, as has been stated, the Freedom House will leave on May 8th, and readopting it won't change anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to testify on this item? All right, and this is brought before us today as an emergency ordinance, which we hear once requires 7 votes. Ms. Prince.
Yeah, one correction I'd like to make, and I wish our staff were here, because I believe the notice that was sent out said that the end of the lease period was either the 23rd or 24th of May, and not the 31st as you had stated. So I just want to clarify that. And do you happen to know, Ginger? I can look it up if it's important, but I think
I certainly.
It's either the 23rd or the 24th.
Yes. My recitation was based on, again, not being the city attorney. All right, and are you quick trying to pull that up to just clarify that date? That would be appreciated. I think that we should get the record straight before we vote. But again, we had information today that Freedom House is wrapping up its work there on the 8th. There may be staff present through the end of the term of the agreement, just cleaning up and getting things together and packing. So if we were hearing a band, they would be riffing right now. But we're not.
I can't find it.
The date that
Let me see.
that this ends.
I don't have the notice.
We have several people looking for the state. If the administration or the city attorney's office is watching this meeting, we could use this information. Yeah. When does it end? When does the term end? Of the listening notes. Of the listening notes. Is that what she's saying of Freedom
Can we
House?
do other items? Or do you want to adjourn council?
Or lay this, should we just adjourn? Are we recess? Do we have to vote on recess? Yeah. All right, we are going to be in recess until we get an answer to this question.
Chris, you don't want a lawyer on the fly?
Tolbert,
Here?
Yang. Here. Jalali.
Here.
Naker.
Here.
Prince.
Here.
Tao.
Here.
Council President Brenmoen.
Here.
7 present, no one absent.
Still here.
Ms. Prince, can you clarify the question you asked and the answer that we were able to
Yes.
dig up?
When you provided the staff report, the information, you mentioned that this would extend well, let me read the part. You said that it would extend the lease until the term of the lease, which was May 31st.
Yeah,
But
not, and I didn't mean, if I said extend, I apologize. I just meant match the term, the
Yeah,
current
that would,
term.
right. And the language of the notice is, in no event shall the readoption of this ordinance affect the original terms of the lease agreement at 296 West 7th Street, whose term concludes on May 24th, 2022.
Okay, thank you. So May 24th, I stand corrected, and I appreciate that, and appreciate the work here to find this information. I will just say that this is extraordinarily frustrating and unprofessional. When we have items on our agenda, we expect representation from the department who put the item on the agenda to be here to answer our questions. And if they are not here in the future, we will not vote for items. This is outrageous. This is an emergency ordinance. We have to pass it today. We don't have any other options, or we wouldn't be voting. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The public hearing is closed and the emergency ordinance is adopted. Item 33 is a public hearing of ordinance 22-22, establishing a qualifications and examining committee for the position of police chief in accordance with City Charter 12.12.1.
All right, and this is establishing our qualifications and examining committee is a public hearing. This is our second reading. This list has been in the paper. I know we're really proud of the group of people we've assembled. It is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none. Oh, we do need to consider version 2 before we will vote on version 2 and then close the public hearing and lay the matter over for 1 week. Version 2 adds Judge Castro. He was a representative from the bench, and now we're happy to have Judge Castro join us. And there was a few small Scrivener errors that we were correcting in version 2. So version 2 moves. I'd like to move version 2. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The amendment is approved and the public hearing is closed and the ordinance is laid over to May 11th for final adoption. And just one clarification, it's still version 1, but the attachment has been updated, so there's an updated attachment with the names. Item 34, resolution public hearing 22-100, authorizing the police department to accept and amend the 2022 special fund budget for the State of Minnesota Department of Public Safety Burn Justice Assistance Grant.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Mr. Tao moves to close the public hearing and approve. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Jalali.
I wanted to just speak briefly to the item, but we can close the public hearing and then do that.
Mr. Tao moves to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
I just wanted to comment on this one because we are pretty regularly accepting funds for our police department from other levels of government, and I just wanted to play back my understanding of what this one is. This appears to be a grant from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. It looks like the vast majority or a significant majority of the funds in this award are going to contract services through Ramsey County and with community partners that do, it says Clinical Workers for People, Inc., Clinical Workers for Ramsey County, and then evaluation support around new models to responding in public safety that they're doing. And then it looks like there's about $40,000 in overtime costs, which appears to be hours our employees have worked that we are obligated to pay for. And beyond that, I don't see anything really objectionable, and I think that's important to talk about because we are very regularly rubber stamping funds to the police, and I am personally making a habit to talk more about what actually is that, what are the costs, is it expanding the force, is it creating more costs over time, or is this actually the type of work we want to fund? So I plan to support this item. I would like in the future to echo the call that administration folks are here to speak to items like this one if we have questions. I don't have questions because I looked into this one myself, but I would like that to be true, especially for funding for law enforcement in the future because it receives so many grants as compared to other departments. So I appreciate that and I plan to support it, but I don't have other comments at this time if other ones do.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the conversation around this. Agreed. Also, it's appropriate for staff to be here to report on items including getting and receiving grants. I take umbrage to the term rubber stamping. I do my research as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item 35 is Resolution Public Hearing 22-101, approving the application of Hamden Park Co-op for a sound level variance in order to present amplified sound on Saturday, May 14th at 928 Raymond Avenue.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Jalali moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item 36 is Resolution Public Hearing 22-106, approving the application of Jan Hone for a sound level variance in order to present amplified sound on June 25th at 1190 Summit Avenue, back side yard.
Ms. Inker.
Thanks, Council President. There's a version 2 in Legistar that just extends this sound level variance to 11:30 p.m. as the applicant requested in honor of her daughter's wedding. And congratulations.
Sounds like fun. I love when parties are back on our agenda. So they're amending to extend to 11:30 p.m. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Naker moves version 2 with the change time and moves to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted as amended. Item 37, Resolution Public Hearing 22-108, authorizing the Department of Public Works Garbage Program to accept funds for liquidated damages from WM in the amount of $11,850.
Let's hear about this. Can we? Ms. Brown, I mean, just because you're here and I appreciate you, come on up. It's worth
Council
noting.
President, council members, public works staff is in attendance. Sorry. As you noted earlier, much of what we do goes unnoticed until we mess up. So we're here. The residents of our city have had challenges sometimes with the garbage contract and coordinated collection. I want the residents to know, and you all to know, that we hold these folks accountable to the provisions of the contract. Waste Management, WM, was not holding to the provisions of the contract. With the City Attorney's Office, we leveled liquidated damages. Those monies are returned to the city. We are going to use them to do an enhanced method of notifying all of our residents that they have options for bulky waste disposal in the terms of the contract. And so we're going to be using those funds for an additional mailing to make sure that our residents do have the opportunities to dispose of bulky items as contained in the contract. And you have my personal reassurance that we will continue to hold contractors accountable.
Thank you. Ms. Prince and then Ms. Naker.
Ms. Young, I want to thank you for your work and that of your staff in responding to these issues. When I reached out on behalf of constituents when this was starting to happen, you were very clear that this was a liquidated damages issue and that we would be seeking redress on behalf of our constituents. And I really have to say that no matter how people feel about our system, having great staff like you who respond very forthrightly, even if people don't, it's hard to hear, is really appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. I would echo Councilmember Prince's praise. Ms. Young, your department and you personally are a pleasure to work with, and I appreciate your outstanding service. And I really want to say how important it is to see us holding these large corporations accountable. I received numerous complaints from constituents about customer service, and this is the way that in our contract we built in the ability to hold these companies accountable, and we're doing it. So thank you for that. And also, I know that you are thinking bigger picture as we look to our new contract as to ways to even better provide customer service in ways that don't require this amount of back and forth and time on your part and on constituents' part. And I'm looking forward to your suggestions, and I appreciate your constantly thinking about how to continuously improve as well.
May I? Council President and council members, you all approved the folks that are on the Garbage Advisory Committee. They will be providing you a report. I want to tell you how hard they have worked, how much they have put into finding the information from their friends and relatives and neighbors, how they have worked to learn Garbage 101. And when you receive their report, I think that it will not be a complete consensus report, but I think that you will be very impressed with the work that they have done. I'm honored to work with them.
That's great. All right. No other comments on this item. So Ms. Yang would move. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Yang would move to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item 38, Resolution Public Hearing 22-114, approving adverse action against the cigarette tobacco license held by New Hope Grocery, LLC, doing business as New Hope Grocery for the premises located at 1132 Payne Avenue.
All right, and on this item, I believe we'll get a staff report, and then we have a caller on the line. So welcome.
Sure. Good afternoon, Council President, Council Member Stephen Ernest, Assistant Attorney on behalf of the Department of Safety and Inspections. This is a public hearing to approve adverse action against the cigarette tobacco license held by New Hope Grocery located at 1132 Payne Avenue in St. Paul. On January 5th of this year, the department conducted an inspection in concert with the, a little bit down.
Maybe just step a little closer to the, sorry.
How was that?
They'll pick you up now.
I can at least hear you guys this time. On January 5th of this year, the department conducted an inspection in concert with the Minnesota Department of Revenue and SPPD at the licensed premises based on a complaint that the license holder was selling flavored tobacco products in violation of the code. The inspector observed and documented with photographs a large volume of flavored tobacco products stored in various places throughout the licensed premises. Not only were these products openly advertised in the display case and on the service counter, they were also stored in secret compartments located underneath the product display and in the floor. There are photographs of these in the resolution packet, but I thought I would just show you a couple of them just to illustrate the gravity of the violations. And I also have a list of the specific products that the department found, and I'll just show, rather than bore you with actually going through them, I'll just show you the list itself.
Sounds good. So you're using yep, there we go.
And you can see that.
Well, it's a long list.
It is a long list.
Yes.
This is just a list of all of the flavored tobacco products that were found.
Actually, can you just pass that to Ms. House, and we will pass it around just to make sure we can take a peek at that.
And then here are just some examples of the specific, not the display case itself, but these bottom pictures are the hidden compartments underneath the service counter. And then here are additional pictures of, this is another compartment behind the service counter. It's a separate compartment. And then lastly, it's kind of a hidden compartment in the floor. And underneath all these compartments, there was a significant amount of flavored tobacco products found. Tens of thousands of dollars were seized by the Department of Revenue. So it's very clearly an operation. Based on these photographs, the department issued a notice of violation, requested adverse action. Thank you. In that notice, they indicated they were going to seek an upward departure from the presumptive penalty of a 10-day suspension to revocation of the license. Under the code, substantial and compelling reasons are required to justify an upward departure. The department believes that the photographs taken by the inspector clearly demonstrate a violation of Section 324.07J, which is the prohibition on flavored tobacco products. The department also believes that there exist substantial and compelling reasons to upwardly depart to revocation based on the significant number of flavored tobacco products found in the store, as well as the blatant and intentional nature of the licensee in violating the ordinance. Revocation is a stinging punishment, but it is this is the situation that was contemplated by council when it amended Chapter 324 to provide revocation as the penalty for a second appearance. The request of the department is that you approve the resolution and revoke the licensee's tobacco license. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Mr. Tao.
Thank you, Council President. Just clarification. Did I hear you right? You said there's clearly an operation going on at this location and selling flavored tobacco? Is that?
It has the appearance of an operation, given that there were flavored tobacco products stored underneath the ground.
Right.
They were also advertised openly in the service counter. The department believes that the licensee, they just left those out, not expecting DSI and the other government agencies to show up. Otherwise, those products would have been in the floor with the ones that were already there.
I'm curious. I mean, that may be correct. Does this operator have other locations in the city that they operate?
I don't believe they do, but I'm not 100% sure.
Thank you.
Can we put that question in the follow-up file? Can we get an answer from that by email? I think just out of curiosity, if they're operating in other locations, the council offices would like to know that. Thank you. Of course. Okay, wonderful. Any other questions? All right. This is a public hearing. I understand we have attorney for New Hope Grocery on the line, Ms. Tripp.
Thank you, Council President Bremoen and Council. We do have one testifier. Looks like Mr. Kurt Robinson, who is the representation for the party for line 38 resolution public hearing 22-114. Mr. Robinson, you have 2 minutes to testify. Please press *6 to unmute yourself and begin your testimony. And please begin by stating your name and the neighborhood you live in.
Welcome. If you're talking, sir, you may still be muted.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Kurt Robinson. I'm an attorney here. My office is in Blaine, Minnesota. I live in Maple Grove, so I'm not from the St. Paul area there. But my client, Mr. Al-Kahani, is the owner of the New Hope Grocery Store, and I'm also unfamiliar whether he has any other locations for that store. This is a matter. He admits the violation. There's no question that the violation occurred. He did openly advertise, so the fact that some of the products were stored what appears to be a secret location, I think, might be less relevant. It is his first violation. He requests that he be sanctioned with the presumptive penalty for the first-time violation of a 10-day license suspension. A revocation in this case, he's a good corporate citizen of the city of St. Paul otherwise. A revocation in this case would effectively destroy his business. So he is asking for some indulgence on the part of the council to just give him the presumptive first-time violation penalty, and he certainly understands the severity. He intends not to violate again. Thank you for the council's attention.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, is there anyone else here to testify on this item? Looks like not, so Ms. Yang moves to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails. Ms. Yang.
Thank you. Thanks to our staff for the briefing and to our testifier as well. I am supporting the recommendation from DSI, given the findings of the quantity found over at the shop. And I also feel that the reason why we updated our ordinance is because we've seen this happen so often, and we really need to find a way to hold our entrepreneurs accountable for violating our tobacco ordinance. And I mean, we just had a similar vote to this a couple of weeks ago, and so I hope to not have to vote on these type of agenda items, and hope that our tobacco ordinance will do its job and do what we hope that we want to accomplish from it. So given that, I am making a motion to support the DSI recommendation.
All right, there's a motion. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item 39 is ABZA 22-1, considering the appeal of Muna Ali to a decision by the Board of Zoning Appeals denying zoning variance requests to exceed the maximum 20 square foot enclosed entrance size allowed by 48 square feet and to exceed the maximum allowable open covered porch projection by 8.3 at 664 Blair Avenue. And the public hearing was continued from April 27th.
All right, and on this item, the owner and interpreter are here present if we have questions. We did discuss this item last week at the council meeting and kept open the public hearing and laid the matter over till today. So we could begin by asking if there's anyone here preemptively to testify on this matter. It is a public hearing. Mr. Tao.
Why don't we, Council President, why don't we do that if the owner is here? And then we'll go from there.
All right. Yeah. We did have a Q&A with the owner last week. I think they're here if there's further questions. Would we like to close the public hearing, and then if you have questions for the owner?
What I was hoping for is that I was just going to close the public hearing today and then lay it over for a week and then take a vote.
Okay. Okay, so this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item? I believe we have somebody on the phone who testified last week. Is there anyone in the audience who has something to add to the record on today? Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm here to interpret for Ms. Ali. She mentioned that she's here today to answer any questions, but she does not wish to make a statement.
Okay. So are there any questions for Muna Ali?
I don't have any questions.
All right. I do not believe we have questions. Mr. Tao has had an opportunity to see testimony from last week.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else here to testify in this public hearing? Ms. Tripp? You want to weigh in? Ms. Tripp, is there a caller on this item, or is that just if there were questions?
We do have Mr. Bob Coughlin on the line. Mr. Coughlin, can I have you press *6 to unmute yourself and begin your testimony, please?
This is Bob Coughlin. I live in the city of Savage. Just confirming, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Speaking on behalf of Muna, quick rundown. Variance was denied because of finding number 4, circumstances unique to the property were not found to be met by staff, and we believe that is an error. The staff did not actually address any circumstances unique to the property. We feel that the property itself has a unique burden placed upon it by having to meet the blanket standards set within the ordinance that are not being applied to other neighbors for setbacks and porch sizes, which makes it unique to this property that they cannot use their property in the same manner as the neighborhood. So we request that there are unique circumstances unique to this property, that even in finding number 3 by staff said that the applicant established there are practical difficulties in complying with the provisions. So they admit in finding 3 that there are unique circumstances, and then in number 4 counter that same comment. It's almost a catch-22. If you can't meet the variance or the standards, then you can't ask for a variance. That's just not right. So we feel that finding number 4 has been met, and respectfully request that the variance be granted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, anyone else here on this public hearing? Seeing none, Mr. Tao moves to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails. Mr. Tao?
Like to lay this matter over for a week to a final vote. Like to lay this matter over for a week to for a final vote.
All right. So Mr. Tao is requesting a 1-week layover for a final vote with the public hearing closed. Any discussion on the 1-week layover? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The item is laid over to May 11th. Item 40 is Resolution Public Hearing 22-62, approving the petition of Kevin Vu to vacate the north-south alley in Block 4, the Strand Addition.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, I would move to close the public hearing and lay the matter over for 4 weeks. Any discussion on that motion? That was at the request of staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is laid over to June 1st. Legislative hearing consent agenda items 41 through 55 are before you for your consideration.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mormont.
Good afternoon, Council President Brenmo and council members. To the best of my knowledge, there is no one here to testify on a legislative hearing item.
All right. So we are taking items number 41 through 55 at this time. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to testify on items 41 through 55? Seeing none, Ms. Naker moves to close the public hearings and approve as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The public hearings are closed and the consent agenda is adopted as amended.
All right, we have reached the end of our print agenda. Is there anything folks would like to share, news from the wards, updates, announcements, things that must be known to the broader public? Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. I missed my chance last week, so I'm just bursting with good news from the ward. Just kidding. But this Friday, Drake Bank is celebrating 20 years in business with an ice cream social open to the public 1 to 3 p.m. at their location on Plato Boulevard on the west side. So I plan to be there with bells on with my children to eat lots of ice cream. And then on Monday afternoon from 4:15 to 5, the Scenic and Verdant, which are the 2 new multifamily buildings on the west side, built by Sherman Associates, are having a ribbon cutting, and I believe it's the Verdant that is the 100% passive house, so the first of its kind in the state, and also affordable housing, I believe 100% leased. So a really cool concept from an environmental standpoint, from an affordable standpoint. All are welcome once again, 4:15 on Monday.
And you said that's a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking?
It's a ribbon cutting.
Ooh, okay, sounds great. Other announcements, Mr. Tolbert?
Just want to remind people that this morning was Bike Walk to School Day for many of the St. Paul Public Schools. I know some are celebrating or doing it on different days, but for a lot of public schools, it was Bike Walk to School Day. Now that we're doing that again. And the reason we do Bike Walk to School Day is to remind people that there are kids walking to school, kids are biking to school, so when you're driving, even if you're late to work or to the gym or wherever you're running late to, please slow down. The speed limit is lowered now. Because there are kids walking, there are just regular citizens walking. There's a lot of people walking in the neighborhood. I've seen more and more, especially since the pandemic. but particularly young kids. And part of the reason I want to point this out, just this week I saw a car run through a bus stop sign, which to me is about the most egregious driving violation you can do out there. That's the one where I just don't understand. So seeing that with my own eyes and actually almost getting hit yesterday, and the guy's response to it was, "I've been closer to other people," which doesn't seem like a good argument, but just a reminder that there's people walking on the streets. Please recognize them and slow down. So.
Amen. Amen. Other, Mr. Tao.
Thank you, Council President. So this Friday, we have the Secretary of Interior from DC visiting St. Paul, Secretary Holland, and she will be at Midway Peace Park at 2 p.m. This is over at 416 North Griggs Street. We have a lot to be thankful for. We are number 2 park system in the country. We're switching back and forth with Minneapolis. That's a good deal, and we have a lot to be grateful for. Representative Betty McCollum's also been a big part of bringing resources into St. Paul, and this is they've pretty much funded this park, the Midway Peace Park, and like to ask them for more money so that we can stay number 1 and number 2. Thank you.
That's great. Ms. Prince.
And it's especially noteworthy because Secretary Holland is the first cabinet member in history to be an American Indian. So it's really exciting to have her here in Midway Peace Park in our Dakota homeland here. So it's very exciting.
Absolutely. This is parks on native land, so it makes sense. So.
That's great. We better see pictures. It sounds great. Just one final update from me. This is in Ward 2, but I think this is for all of us. On Saturday, I am attending the Minnesota Opera's open season premiere of Carmen. And I'm really excited about that, but I'm not excited about it just because, ooh, Amy gets to go to the opera. It's because the opera is really taking a moment to rethink itself and to figure out how to make its performances more approachable for a diverse audience, a younger audience. I had the opportunity to see kind of a conversation around how the Minnesota Opera is challenging and changing its performance style, its costume style, its how it puts together operas, how it casts its operas down at Metronome Bar, which is down across from CHS Field. It was a wonderful conversation. It was getting to be a lot of talking. And then suddenly cast members came out and gave us like sneak previews of arias and duets and a very diverse and very young and compelling cast for Carmen. And I will also add that the tickets are surprisingly affordable. I always think the opera's like, oh, you know, you have to get your trust fund or something in order to go. And I got tickets for my niece, my sister and I for about $25. So it's doable, and there's also still rush tickets available. So Adam Eust, we're going to rock the house on Saturday at the opening of Carmen, but it just a reimagined opera, and I think the conversations are very exciting, thinking about how theater is changing and evolving to match our community. Anything else before we go today? It's been a doozy. We are adjourned. Oh, Lord. Respond to Debbie.